Today I would be solving qualification round of Meta HackerCup. I would be solving it on Kotlin and try to show what I'm doing, detailed explain how I solving the problems and what Kotlin features can be used to solve them easier. Let's try how it works. So I'll start with my setup. I'm using IntelliJ IDEA as IDEA. It's quite good for Kotlin. So here is some template for it. Maybe what can I say here? It's just some utility for reading int and for parsing typical competitive programming stuff. Also, I'll mention that all these functions need to be private, unfortunately. Normally you shouldn't think about it, but unfortunately it wouldn't compile if they would be not private, as all files have the same functions to make it easier to submit, and top level functions except main can't have the same name. Okay, so what can I say else about about my setup? Here is some feature like input and redirection, which is set up to redirect from file just to make stuff more convenient. And also output is saved to another file. So if I don't know, write something like println yes here and say that, okay, I have two tests. If I run it, I would see yes here, and also can open it in file if I want. It's handy for submission and just for making stuff more comfortable. I don't know what to say else about my setup. Let's see it during the solving problems. So I read the problems fastly before starting the stream, but doesn't think much about them, so I will try to solve it from scratch. Let's see how it works. So problem A. Sandy store has unpriority clock parts for sale. Cases. Sandy. Two different parts of the same stuff. So we have, what do we have? We have and something. Each of them has some property as is, and we need to split them into one of the two cases. What does it mean? So let's check some samples. Okay, so we need to split it into the two parts. Each part can be smaller than k, and each part can be, and we can't put two same parts in the one box. Okay, so and we can just say yes or no. So we need to split 3 with no more than 2, and we can do that as 1, 2 versus 2. We can split 5 to 3. We can't split 5 to 2 because we can't. And we can't split 5 without limitation because we have 3 ones and nothing to put here. So what problems can we have? I think the only problem we can have is having 3 items of something, or having too small limits. Like if we not having enough options, like if 2 multiplied by k is smaller than n, then we can do nothing. And if we have triple of something, we can do nothing. And what we can do is it enough? I think it should be enough, because we have not too many pairs. Yes, so and after we get pairs to different, we can just pull everything else, and this can't break because everything except paired stuff we can put anywhere. So, okay, we need just to check that k is big enough and to check that we have no single ones. Okay, so let's do that. What's the format we have here? It's just nk and then 2 integers. Okay. So what can we do? First, we'll start reading n k. So readings is reading list, and we can destructure it. So a lot of different stuff can be destructured in Kotlin. It means, for example, you can destructure anything which have operator fun component 1. So and component 2. So in fact, this one is equal to, well, temporary is equal to read int, and then while n is equal to temporary dot component 1, while k impl equal to temporary dot component 2, and this is just shorthand for this. And list is conveniently have this component 1, component 2 defined on it in standard library, which makes this possible just to unpack the list. Also, pair can be unpacked. Also, any data class can be unpacked. A lot of stuff can be unpacked like this for which it's meaningful. And then we have a list of S, which is just a list. Okay. So what do we need? Result. So when is like a switch operator, so it's convenient to have long if-else chain. For example, it can be used in two forms. For example, I can use s here and check, well, probably not s, but I don't know, n, and if one do something, if two do something, and so in that case it's like switch in C++, but this can be also used without any condition, and then it's just like if-else chain. So I can just write several conditions and else in the end, and they will be checked one by one. So if 2 multiplied by k less than n, then no. And we need to some more check. So I can print it at the end. And we need to check something complex here. Let's show the stdlib magic. There is some stuff like grouping by, which I think should. So I need group by. No, I don't need group by. I need grouping by. So I need just by it, and then each count. Well, so let me write some kind of magic. So what's happening here? I don't think. Should I have some? So what is each count? It's map. Okay, so we need values. Okay, so what's happening here? Is Kotlin have quite powerful standard library, which contains a lot of different primitives in which can help solving tasks like that. So like group something, count something, and a lot of. So there is magic stuff like grouping by, which with this selector. What does it mean? This means that we group every element of S as just by its value. So this can be thought like we just found for each same value of this expression, found something which can be aggregated later. For example, here are a lot of ways to aggregate it. So for example, we can iterate over it, we can aggregate it with some untrivial folds or something, we can fold, reduce, a lot of different stuff, but we can just each count. So each count returns us a map. Oh, so in fact, it would be a map for each value, how many values are here. And we are getting its values and just checking that no one of them is greater than 2. So it can be maybe replaced like all it's less than 2. It's mostly the same. So I understand that probably I spent more time for writing that than just writing a cycle here. But my purpose was to show Kotlin standards library. And to be honest, when you're getting used with it, it becomes faster to write like that because it's just less the code and also you can bug in it to just doing what it wants. But you need to be careful because of course it would work much slower than just cycle, because just a loop. Because well, it's creating some maps inside what could go well. So let's try to test it. So something went wrong in case 2 or not? Oh, okay, on case 4 something went wrong. What is case 4? Is okay, so having 2 is good. Oh, okay, I just check the wrong one. I need to check if any of them is greater than 2, not if, then it's no. Okay, so let me tell a bit about these constructions. So I'll start with any. Any is just a handy function which is defined on something you can iterate over and just checking this expression on all its values. And so this value would be true if any element of this list is greater than 2. So that's exactly what I want to check. And I already said about this each count, which is probably took more time than just writing it. So okay, it seems to be working. Let's try to download and validate input. Okay, we have downloaded something. Let's run it. We got something. So we got 3 more tests. 2 of them are no, and 1 of them is yes. This is quite obviously no. Okay. So not really sure if this test set is good. Probably there can be a lot of solutions which passes it but wrong, but I hope not mine. So let's just download. Oh, I need to upload output. That makes sense. And this is correct. So, oh, can I just not download this? I hope my internet connection is fast enough to not using this. So I think after get password and timer, I would be able just to download the input. Yes, and this makes not much sense for this problem. I hope my internet connection is good. So we have 90 tests. They worked somehow. Probably just will submit and go to the next problem. That doesn't make much sense. Here, oh, so I hate this interface. It's just not working. So is they happy with my submission? It won't be tested now, but at least it looks valid for them. Okay, so let's just go to the next problem. So it have 2 subtasks. The only difference is the cells are smaller and does not contain rocks. Okay, I'll try to solve B2 without solving B1 separately. So what do we have here? We have some grid, 3,000 over 3,000. Okay, and it have some trees and rocks. Maybe it don't have, that's okay. Make sure possibly 0 to empty spaces, so we can add trees. There's 2 trees which are each adjustment to it. Okay, so why we can just add everything. We are not asked to minimize something. Yes, I don't see. Yes, I don't see any question to minimize number of added trees. So it looks like I can just add everything that I can. Okay, maybe there would be a problem that tree I've added is problematic because it have only one neighbor, and if I remove it, it would be okay. So I need to add everything, then remove what's going wrong, and then at the end check if I didn't remove any of pre-existing trees. And the problem is 3,000 squared. Probably it can't be done. I need some breadth first search like approach because because otherwise it would be too slow. Okay, so can it be done somehow easier? We need just to remove ones that have only one, and if it happens, so what do we need to output? We need, okay, so I think it can be done in some DFS like approach, DFS search like approach. It should be a bit easier. Like I remove the tree, check its neighbors. If they now have too low number of neighbors, remove them recursively. Is it okay? Probably it should be. Or do I need something? It's a bit messy. So 300, okay. I need to just recheck anything. It can be added to it. Let me just add it. Probably I can. No, not really sure. So as it have the only neighbor, it's the only one which is affected, and I could just check it. If it's have the only neighbor again, yeah, that's become easier. Okay, that's a bit better. So let's go to the second problem and implement it. So what's the solution I have? So I would add all trees which are possible. And then if I found a tree which has a single neighbor, we need to remove it. And we must remove it. And then we must to check this single neighbor. If it has a single neighbor now, we need to remove it too, and etc, etc, etc. So it's going like that. And at the end, we need to check that we didn't remove any trees which were given initially. So we have rows and columns. We have some list of strings, which would be list of rows. So what is this does? It says that I have a list of size R, and its element is calculated as readline. It's return string, so it understands that it's list of strings because it's list and each element is string. It's by initialization, so I can specify it explicitly, but I don't need that because it can be auto-deduced. Okay, so what's going next? what's going next? I need to have list of modified elements. So okay, about this it, I used it a lot of times and it doesn't say about it. So Kotlin has a convention that if you're writing a lambda which has unique argument, that it's named it and its type is auto-deduced. So for this, it is just index, and I can say, if I want, I can say that it's index, or I can even explicitly specify that it's index of type int, or maybe of type long, but no, that wasn't work. But I don't need this, because why I should do that? So I would try to convert it to char array, or maybe not. I think that Boolean array would be more suitable. So I have a Boolean array of size of C elements. And what's are these elements? So okay, I'll name the elements now because it becomes more convenient. So I'll say that if a of x and y is not equal to so for now I have a list of elements which is true if there can be a tree. So now I need to remove all trees which can't be used, and then check that nothing is removed. Bad. So okay, let's create directions. It's a list of what? It's -1 to 0, 1 to 0, 0 to -1, 0 to 1. It's not a perfect order, but not really, doesn't really care now. So okay, let's check. It should be. So here I'm using like these indices. In fact, it's just a range between 0 and size of b. So it's totally equivalent of 0 until b size. Kotlin doesn't have C-like for loop range. It's only have in range, but it's optimized good enough in both cases. So we'll check this. And what do we want to do now? We want to find the single element. So we need to find all directions where b have. Okay, we need to find all directions where there is not a tree. So what can be not a tree? It can be either rock or removed tree or just nothing. So what do we need to do? So we'll say that bad directions are directions. We can use just filter for that. Filter is a function which filter elements which suits the predicate. So we want to find good directions. So the structuring can work here too. So dir is, we can see that it's a list of pairs, and they can be destructured here. So what does it mean that it's outside? Okay, so it means that, so I can use quite convenient for such stuff, a function like get or null. What is get or null? It tries to get, and if it's out of range, then it's null. So we're getting this, and if it's not null, we're trying to get the other one. And if it's and what is this equal to true? It's quite useless. It looks quite useless, but not now, because this is not Boolean. This is either Boolean or null. So equals to true, check that it's true, not false and not null. It's just gets rid of null here. So I get a list of that's not a list of bad directions, but a list of good directions. And what's going on? if good direction size is greater than 2, then it's just okay. If good direction size is equal to 1, to 0, we need to just clear. So, well, we need to clear us anyway, and if good direction size is equal to 1, we need to recheck it. Yes, and what does recheck mean? So, okay, we need to have some function here. Function check, which gets x and y, and do this. So then just nothing need to happen. And if, then we need just to check of x plus good here. Okay, let's do it like that first. Not perfect, but let's just do that. So, well, that's not really good option. Probably it can be just, it would be better to destructure it, but it doesn't really matters. Let's do that. Okay, so what's the problem of this approach? I think it's already correct, but this is a recursive function which can be slow in Java and generally can be slow. So here in Kotlin there is some feature called tailrec, which just says that this function has a tail recursion, and it's really has a tail recursion. And the compiler will gracefully convert it to cycle for you without anything else, which is great and faster and not consuming stack and a lot of other good options for that. So what can we do next? So probably we shouldn't do that if it's already false. It's already false, so probably shouldn't do that. And what should we say that? And at the end, we need to check that if something is false and it was enabled initially, what's wrong with it? So, okay, it's list of characters. Then we need to print that something is impossible. Okay, so it's just called impossible. Otherwise, we can just print that it's possible, and we have a solution. So what is our solution? We have array of booleans, which is not really convenient. Well, I'm doing this very slow because of telling what I'm doing in details, especially in English. It's make you much slower. So okay, what can be done? So that's not a good way of writing this, but I'll try to do it. There is such thing that join to string, which receives a lambda of what to join. So I said that for each 0 between, I can write it as a.indices. Not sure if it's better. We need to join with end of line symbol, and so it would be our x. So unfortunately I need indices. That's awful. Okay, so and here we need some symbol. What do we have? If b is true, then we have a tree. If when b is false, And when b is false, we have, oh, we need to just use a. We need to just use a. What's wrong with it? Okay, I need to have else here, but don't really need it, so I can replace it by if, because I have only 2 branches, it would be easier. So what's wrong with it? Okay, I need to return string here, while having, okay, so it would be like that. So what happened here? I said that I need to join with 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 end of line. I need to join with just nothing as separator, and this is one symbol. It wouldn't be much faster than just print, but a bit faster because it got bufferized, and this is some easy way to get bufferization of outputs, which makes your code faster. Not sure if it's really important here. Probably I can just write 2 cycles and print. So let's try to run it on sample input. And I've got some exception that this is not a string. That's something that's really hard to say something about it. And what's wrong for me, it's just the first line. And I just read it. What's wrong with it? Why I think that it should be int. Oh, because I'm writing A, not B. That makes sense. So, okay, all 3 outputs are possible. Is it true? Probably the second one should be impossible. Yes, and I can add nothing, and that's okay. And what's wrong with it? Everything is wrong with it. So I'm just adding all 3 and think that it's okay. Why I think it's okay? That's looks suspicious a bit for me. So I just edit everything. That's not good. So I have size equal to 1 here. Or 0. Why 1 0? 1 0 is strange. Oh, okay. I need to check if it's true, not if it's false. Because check making it false. It doesn't make sense to check it when it's true. So, okay, here it's impossible, and here is solution. I can't add it here, and everything else is okay. Is it good? Probably it is. Maybe if I forbid this one, then everything is broken. Yes? Okay. And maybe I can forbid this one, and it's become not so broken. Or it still become broken. No, it looks it still become broken. Okay, never mind. Let's check our validation input. Oh, probably I need to start with B1. That doesn't really make sense. Also, we can mention that all problems are second something. Probably it's because the second thread was making them. This kind of signature, why not? So we just adding everything or adding nothing for the, oh, there are cases where this small stuff happens. Okay, why not? So when 1 over something, it's never possible, except for we need to add nothing. Okay, that makes some sense. Let's submit it. And it is correct, so we can just submit our solution. I don't want this password stuff. Why should I use it? Should I ever use it? Never ask for that. This is quite stupid. I just would submit big number of same symbols possible. Just some solution. Okay, let's submit it. What they are processing, they're not testing it. Okay, it is submitted, so we can just submit B2. But it has submission problems. Source code and zipped output as well if you can. You will receive the correct penalty time for that submission. Not sure if I should submit it now, but maybe not. So let's check validation input. Probably for problem B2 it makes more sense. Problem should be not very interesting without rocks. But still. Okay. Validation input is still not really interesting. Okay, let's try doing that. Hope it's not too big. Let's check it like that. I just wanted to download input directly, but not sure if it's a good idea with such a big input. Yes, it's downloaded instantly. Well, idea can hang a bit of such a big output, so we shouldn't open it. But we can check it fastly. It would not be editable. Well, yeah, it's kind of beautiful. So we can submit it. We can submit it. I hope we won't have problems with submitting problem B, which are shown here. Please don't refresh or leave this page. Well, how big this output is? What's going on here? This out. So I need to submit 13 megabytes, and they have problem. Your Facebook. Why you can't upload 13 megabytes? Okay, I can't submit. Let's try it again. It probably won't work. We'll send a clarification as it's shown. Zipped output. This is quite stupid. Probably I shouldn't submit. Probably on normal constants I just shouldn't submit if I see such a suggestion. It definitely won't be submitted. Okay. Let's submit a clarification then. It's shown. Where are submitting clarifications? Oh, here, probably here they are. Request clarification. Problem B. Submission can't be sent. So I need to check B and I need to zip the output. Okay. Let's zip it. Now it becomes much smaller. Is it too small? Let's look suspicious. Let's check it. Okay, so we need to add source code, and we need to do what? To send the file. Okay. Hope that would work. This doesn't make much sense, but probably valid. Okay, let's go to the next problem. And so, okay, so it's again have two subtasks. We'll check the second one. The second one is from the beginning. So some limit is 10 instead of 20. Okay. So we have a Morse code, which is letters, dots, and dashes. And it's ambiguous. It's ambiguous. Okay. So a serial set of is an ambiguous encoding if any code can be 0 or exactly once. That's okay. So the easiest way to make code unambiguous to make no string prefix of no other string. So, and what we are given? We are given just one string, and what we need to do, we need to add other strings to make it unambiguous. So looks like we can add just anything. So what's the easiest way? So if I just need to build an ambiguous code, the easiest what can I do is just build it of the same length. And then I have length 10, and I can have build 2,000 of lines, and I need to build only 100 of lines, so that shouldn't be a problem. So what's getting wrong with this one? Probably I can just not allow the first symbol be the same as in this line, and just check other 9 symbols, which should be good. So it's a really strange problem. Is it something set for clarification? Probably. They'll do something with it later. Does someone managed to solve it? Submit it? Someone did, but mostly that's suspicious a bit. This probably means that someone has smaller files, and this means that my submission is incorrect. And just okay, maybe this means that my submission is incorrect because it's too big. But let's hope not. No. So looks like we can just do the simple stuff. Okay, let's do that. So what's happening? 95 tests. Okay. So I need to clear input. That's a bit strange. So we have n, and we have a line. Yes, and we just need to use. So let's use the first S1 as the first letter of S, and 0 is the other one. So if S is dot, then we use mine dash, and otherwise we use dot. So we'll use this for 1, and we need to just output n lines. So what we would do? We need to just got I and convert it. So it should be we use to string of with radix 2. This will convert us to zeros and ones. We need to pad at start until length 10 with zeros. And then we need replace zeros with 0. And then we need replace ones with 1. Is that all? What could go wrong with it? Kinda stupid solution, but I don't see any reasons why it's not correct. So let's check it. First of all, I need to use println here. And this should be done n-1 times. So what I'm doing, it's 10. And so here it's starting with dot, so I'll use dashes. So as I have not too many of them, then like if I ask for 100, I'll still get dashes here. So what's the point of that problem? I just don't understand it. Okay, let's try it on validation input. So I'll need to start with C1 probably. Well, this problem doesn't make much sense for me, but okay, let's submit it. That is a correct solution. So why? And why it costs more than the previous one? Okay, never mind. Just a joke problem. That happens. What's wrong with you? Let's just submit it. Why Facebook can't upload this instantly? That's really strange. I think they upload in much bigger files in much bigger volumes. Okay, let's try validation input for test 2. I'm not sure if it's... Let's maybe just re-download it. Oh, what did I do? I do something wrong. That's probably not really important. Should I download other validation inputs? Okay. I mistyped something. That happens. So, is it... It still doesn't look like a validation input. Where's my validation input? So I want to put it in at in. Have 400 tests in validation input. Are you serious? Kinda strange for me, but up to you. It's really strange stuff. Still doesn't make much sense for me. but let's submit it. Mm. Something went wrong. Okay, my submissions, it's okay. Did they answer a clarification? Not sure how does it work. Okay, let's check the last problem. So it looks like some graph problem. So we have a graph with n vertices, m edges. Light connects in both directions with every morning and every evening. So we have like double edges, why not? So we have C tourists. Why this T is bold? It's some joke about Hennady. Never mind. The first sample cases. Okay. So what should we do? For each day, we need to find the number of tourists from X to Y. So we need to calculate the number of edges. So if you have direct edge, we can send the tourist in the morning and in the evening. So it's just double it. And if we have path of length 2, we need to check minimum of them. Does they interfere somehow? I think not. We can't send 2 vertices. Yes, we have exactly 1 intermediate vertex, so they doesn't interfere in any way. So we just need to check to find all vertices connected with both. If we just okay, 200,000 vertices and 5 million total. Great. So just doing it in a stupid way, it should be like vertices multiplied by edges. My intuition says, let's try to check it. So we can choose the smaller one for each vertex, for each query. And if it's, so if we're trying to answer all queries, well, all queries is just n squared, is already n squared. Strange. So, but for single vertex, if we're answering for all queries, then it's should be linear in number of edges times. So if we have 1 vertex fixed and check for all others, it should be linear, because for each, if we check just for other vertex, then we check for all edges at most twice for one end and for another end. So if we answer for, so if we fix one of x and check for others, then it's linear, but that doesn't help. So it's proof that my intuition about number of vertices multiplied by number of edges, if we're answering all queries, which is not really useful because we have not all queries but some queries. But well, okay, this should be some square root magic. Like, we are choosing the smaller vertex, so if the smaller vertex is small, so it's been containing less than square root of m edges, or maybe 2m, never mind. Then it's good, then it's already good. And if it's not, then we have, okay. So we have big vertices for which my previous pound works, and for them that total number of queries for them is fast enough, and other queries are just fast, but probably we need to cache queries because yes, nobody said that x and y's are different, so they can just ask a lot of the same pair of vertices a lot of times and this would be slow. But if we had caching, this would be fast. So what should we do? Just to check just that cache of queries, not for not computing the same stuff twice. And then we need to just check smaller vertex, all neighbors of smaller vertex, and that should be fine. Okay, that looks easy. We can write it right now. So what do we have? We have n ins. Then we have m lines, and then q lines. So how I want to store it? I just need a list of neighbors, and I need some map from edge to edge. Let's write a funny stuff. On int edge. Probably you should never write code like this in normally, but let's do that. So what's happening? I said that I have function which defined as extension on int, which receives another int. It's just some way to encode. So it would works like 1.edge of 3. Yes. So I just don't want to, I need some map from edge to its size, and I don't want to be this map from pair because it would create a lot of extra allocations, which is not great. So I want it to be, while capacity, to be a map from long to int, which is still does a lot of extra allocations, but a bit better. And I need a way to encode this. And so why not just, why did you find it as extension? Because with this infix stuff, it's allow me to write it like, well, E1H3, which is quite funny. It's like 123, which creates a pair, but 1H3, which just creates me a long. That's totally useless and probably should never do like this, but why? But that's funny. So, and we need the list of edges. So for each vertex, I need a mutable list of its neighbors. So what's happened next? We're just repeating. So there are two vertices. We need to decrease them by 1 because they are one indexed, or they are not one indexed. Yeah, they are one indexed. So this is a map function which creates by list another list with each element equals to calling this lambda, and we just decrease it by 1. So what could we do next? First we need to add this edge, and then capacity of is equal to C. Oh, we have 3 ints. And we would add a reversed edge because it would be easier to make it. So we cannot add it by, okay, I'll try to minimize some memory and do like this. So we can just, I will encode edges is as minimum of it as lower bits and maximum as other bits. Kotlin have both Kotlin max function and just Kotlin max off function. I'm not really sure why it's happened. That looks strange a bit for me, but you can use min off and max off without any imports, or import Kotlin math and then you use min and max. I think they're exactly the same. So what's happened next? We just read, and then we need to just answer queries. So as I said, we need a cache of answers. So its answer is long. So, okay. So what do we have? We have x and y, which are ints and still need to be decreased by 1. And okay, so answer is, here we can use such a handy function as get or put. What does it do? It says that I have a k, and if you have this k, then just return me its value, otherwise compute it by this lambda. So this is a really easy way to add caching to everywhere. So you just need to add cache.get or put of your k and surround the computing, and you are done. So, okay, we need to compute it. How to compute it? We just need to check which one is smaller. So one smaller is if so let's return anything to make it happy. So, okay, we need some answer, and probably we need to return it, which is initially equal to what? To get or default of x hy 0 multiplied by 2. Okay, so what has happened here? I think I said that I have a capacity and I need to get x edge y, but it can return null because there can be no such k. In that case, I just ask him to return 0. It's not like in C++ when it's returned 0 by default if nothing found. It's convenient sometimes, it's not convenient in some other cases, but in C++ it would create an element in map here, which is either not very good, so why not? Okay, what happened next? Next, I need to check the edges of smaller. This is middle edge. So if it's equal to either of us, let's just ignore it. I wrote something wrong. So I wrote something strange, and the idea tells me that you wrote something strange. If you handle here that it's said that it's always true because I wrote y equals to y, which is definitely wrong. I meant u equals to y. These warnings are quite handy. So we just ignore it because it's something strange, and otherwise I could add to answer minimum of 2 values. So this the same getter default here I need, yes. A minimum of x edge u or y edge u. So maybe I can create getter 0 extension, probably I don't really need it, but let's try to do that. Okay, let's try to do that just to show what are extensions, because it's quite a cool feature, I think. So I can say that if I have a map of something to int, then I can have get or 0 on it. Of what? It should probably return some k of type k. And this is just get or default of k and 0. So this is just a way of shortcut, and I can just use it here as get or 0, which is not really change anything, but can be a way of creating shortcuts. These function extensions can be really beautiful. So it's just I just created it just looks like I created a method, but I definitely not create a new method of map or built-in map. So that's all. Probably okay. It can be written a bit in a bit more Kotlin way, I think. with so what is bad here? So I have a var here, which means this mutable variable, which is not Kotlinic way, but probably totally okay for competitive programming. But we can replace it here with just not having a variable, because last expression of lambda is its value, and say that's plus, and there is such function, such a method on list as sum of. So what is sum of? It is sum of values returned by lambda. So now when it is equal to x or it is equal to y, I'll just return 0, else I return this minimum. Probably don't really need this check because because there is no edge between x and x, so it won't really be, it will be 0 itself, but I don't want to think about that. So that's just the answer we have, which is kind of beautiful, I think. So that's all. I think that the whole solution, which is quite small for the hardest problem. Let's try to run it on sample. Maybe we'll see that. Okay, so I see at least one problem with it. So the first problem is 456 is not a string. That's because of what? Where it's not a string. It's not definitely not a string here. Okay, I'm still running solution of problem C. Okay, so first of all, we need to route these values in one list. So we can do it as this. So we just got a list. So we can just got long array, which would be a bit faster, which probably can be useful here. And we don't need this variable at all. So we're just checking this. So in fact, just removing these two lines, and we have no caching. So we added cache with 2 lines, which is quite great for me, I think. And we need to print the answer, which can be done with already known function join to string, which joins the values of to string of this int, which is more careful. I'm not sure if it's correct answer. It's not a correct answer. It's totally not a correct answer. I think no value is correct. Well, zeros are correct sometimes. So let's check what's going on the first sample. So here is a picture of first sample, I think. And the first test is between vertices 1 and 2. So between vertices 1 and 2, we have an edge of size 10, which is twice, and we have 5 and 15, which is, and we get 22 somehow. It's an interesting. So here we can need some debug. We can use IntelliJ debugger, which is quite great, but I sometimes prefer using debug print. So for that, I can show you such stuff like also function, which is just allows you to write some code here without changing the value. So it would just run this code and return it. So we can show that. So what result of x, y, u, it is equal to it. So it's, I got a bit confused with this its because I have outer it and inner it. That's bad. So we can just rename one of them. It works well. So probably mostly if lambda is big, you shouldn't use it and should add some meaningful name. So we're and probably can now print some here that so again with dot also we can print that ans of x and y is equal to it. So answer for 0 and 1 is equal to 4 by that's strange. I wrote something strange here. Yeah, I mean, this should be not here. This should be here. Just print it in wrong place. So what's going on here? Then we can check that for computing 22, we have 4. This 4 is really strange. Why the hell it's 4? There is no 4 in the input file. Oh, I got it. That's funny. This is because of this. We just added -1 to anything, to everything, including the value of capacity, which is not good. So I think that it can be used without brackets here, but I don't want to test. 25, 20, this looks like a correct answer. 42. Let's remove our debug and check it. This also is quite handy because you can just add the value at any point and print it without adding a lot of code. So that looks like a correct answer. Let's check it again. Yeah, this looks like a correct answer. So that's the whole solution, which is, I think, quite small and handy. Probably this is even not enough, not needed. We can just remove it and become even more smaller. So let's try validation input. What's wrong with you? 13 megabytes of validation input? Are you serious? That's kind of strange. But well, we see some problem here. Our solution is really slow on that test cases. What's going on here? Oh, not too slow, but let's check how big this input is. Oh, I mean, it's not easy to check it. So we can just submit validation input first, but looks my solution is a bit slow. Well, on the other side, we have 6 minutes. It's quite a lot. Yes, that's correct. I'm not sure if I want to optimize it because, well, it looks like it just should work fast enough. So how long was it? I'm not really sure. Let's check it. So let's print it to standard error. So, well, time. So there is some useful stuff like measure time, which is experimental, but I don't care. So, and we can just print time to be, it's more convenient. I'll print it to system error. And it's returned some handy stuff like duration, which would be printed well. We can just check it, how it works. So I hope that will be printed at the end of file. So we see that test 4 works for 5. Okay, I also want to print the size of tests. I don't really want to be print it here with the test itself. So okay, number 4 is just max test, and it works for 2 seconds, which is not too bad. 5 is looks like a click queue on 447 vertices. I think it's 447 multiplied by, let's check it, divided by 2. Yes, it looks like it's a click queue. And so it's probably the worst test for our solution. And it still works fast enough, I think. And it works for 22 seconds. Yes, and so it works for 22 seconds. And if there would be 70 tests, of all of them are clickers, we won't be happy with that, but probably that's not what would happen. But can we do something to make it faster on it? No problem. Normal max test, it works like it works kind of fast. So why? Because caching is useless. And I just checking everything, so it's 447 cubed. And why it's so slow? It shouldn't be so slow. Well, okay, it's getting from map here, which is not perfect. Which is definitely not perfect. Can I do something better here? Probably not really fast. We can just submit and hope it wouldn't too slow, because it's too slow on 2 specific tests, and there should be many 2 specific tests in the input. So I can also just redirect standard error. Show. So can I redirect? Not easily. Okay, let's just ignore it. So I can just not print it, the answer, and check how it works. It will be a bit more, maybe printing is slow, probably it shouldn't. Yeah, so that's the only test which is meaningfully long. So 1 second is totally okay. It would be around 1 minute. So okay, 6 is another maximum test. It works for 7 seconds. 7 seconds is not perfect. It means that 7 seconds multiplied by 70 tests. And I can't have 70 tests, I think. Yes, I have 5 millions divided by 70. So yes, I can't have too many tests. I can have only, oh, I have only 25 tests. Big tests, in fact. Except for clicks. So that's not perfect. But probably it should run fast enough. But maybe we can optimize it somehow. First of all, I don't really need too long here. But I need too long at the end, which doesn't help a lot. Let's try it, for example. Will it help or not? I can just say that I need too long here. Probably this shouldn't save anything, but let's try. It doesn't change anything. Probably it should work fast enough on C++, but that's boring. Um, 19 seconds. Well, it's become a bit faster. So maybe it would be better to get rid of this minimum and maximum and duplicate edges in map, because, well, it happens in the middle of very nested code, and probably having this minimum and maximums is not perfect. Yeah, it becomes much better, I think. Let's check it here. Or not. What the hell? Oh, it becomes much slower. It's really strange. Okay, let's revert it. You have no ideas why it becomes much slower. That's oh, okay, got it. Why it become much slower because okay, because the caching was broken. So we can probably try it. Because caching was broken. Okay, mine of xy and max of xy. It should probably works faster now, but not really important. It doesn't really change a lot. Yeah, that's definitely still too slow. Okay, let's just revert this. That's not interesting. And what probably we can do is replace this with int arrays, which becomes a bit better. So, okay, let's do that. Fortunately, when you're writing Java-based language, sometimes you got random time limits. That's how it works. So I can have here an int array instead of list of int, which I think should become already better. We can try it, but if not, we maybe will need to replace it back with our to replace it back with a loop because it would avoid iterators here. Probably I could just submit and it would work, but I want to be a bit more safe. So it worked for, yeah, I think it becomes much better. At least for test 5, it's now 19 seconds. Not much better. Okay, so what's the difference? Okay, let's try to revert it to a loop. So can I just, I'm not sure if it worked. What's going on? I've tried to inline it. AD was not happy about that. Probably I should report the bug. It's really frozen. Why the hell? Okay, I'll try to reproduce it later. Oh, okay, it's works with it. Let's try to inline it. It's kinda good, I think. So just let's call it just sum. And that's exactly what I wanted. I don't know why it's got such a long time to do that. That's strange. Oh, it shouldn't become. It should not work with iterators on. Yeah, it's the same, but probably if I work with indices, it can be a bit faster. I'm not sure. Let's try it. Let's try it. Not really sure. In this index. Not really a big specialist on optimizing Java code. That looks like it works the same. So in fact, as we see, all these abstractions doesn't really cost us anything. It's just as slow as Java. Yeah, so that's approximately the same. So let's return it back. Not sure if I should try to submit it. Like I have 25 tests like that, and if each of them works 20 seconds, which is 500 seconds, which is a bit more than I need. Yes, I have 6 minutes. So is it just too slow? Or it just should be written on C++? Or what? Um, so this capacity, well, it's kind of slow, but also Java is working better on each of next runs, so it should, it should fit, I think. But, well, let me check the number of operations which are done. It's important. Maybe I'm just understanding my limit is. So I need to check if it's just doing too many operations or it's just slow. Because if second one, then I have some bug. Well, it's case two. Not really sure what's going on. So on random tests, it does what? It does 300 operations. Oh, okay, it works within a second. That's okay. Ah, it works instantly. So for test 5, it does 300,000 operations and it took a second. Why the hell? That's something got terribly wrong. Uh, mm, can I have a size hint here? Uh, so that looks really strange. Like 28 million operations shouldn't work for 20 seconds. So there is something stupid happened. Let's check. Maybe reading is too slow. That's can happen too, but this would be strange. A bit. Uh, okay, well, I'll start. I can't use measure time here because it will create a scope. So what's wrong with it? It's really strange. So if I remove queries processing, what's happening? It still works fast. Okay, that's a bit bad. So, but I mean that if I just say it's 0 without all this stuff. It works quite fast. So, that's really strange. Oh, I know what's going on. Sorry for that. That's stupid. Okay, so how should I fix it? The problem is Java have a really funny hash function for set for long. And I remember that hash function for long is independent of its 32 some of its bits. Like it's just cast to int or something like that. So this encoding is really bad for it. So we can probably fix it with something like this. Probably I misunderstood which of them. Yeah, probably this was the lower bits. So let's shift left these ones. There's probably some better way to do that. I'm not really sure. Maybe someone. This is some Java specific, not Kotlin specific stuff. That just you should not encode. Will it become faster? So no, it's something really bad. Let's just try to return it. Return a pair. Will it help? Pair. This is always an over optimization. It's never good. I think fixing it to a pair should help. Not too much. But why? It doesn't make any sense for 300 hash table gets to work a second. It just shouldn't be like that. So okay, I can optimize it twice for here, but max. So this, but that doesn't really change anything. So okay, I can inline this also. Maybe this would help a bit. Not really. Fortunately, maybe I should disable OBS Studio for make it working well, and just my laptop have problems. But that's not interesting. So for now it works even slower. What? So it's really 6 million gets to hash table. No, 6 million gets for hash table working for 4 seconds. This doesn't make any sense. So let's replace it back with long because it didn't help. Maybe I have tree map. Okay, so, and we need here to return something. So let's return like this. Will it help? Oh, it's int now. Well, it helped. So hash function for pairs is so bad. What is hash function for pair? I'm really confused with it. So it's just a data class, so it have auto-generated hash function. Oh, it should be like first multiplied by 31 plus second, and it's slow. Yes, so if I add in 31L here, then I'll get to slow code. Ah. No. Yeah, this is just incorrect code. So is this big enough? I need to check it. I can add one here, then it would definitely be big enough. I hope it's prime. Probably should be prime. Not sure if it's important. Probably it's not important to be prime, but let's replace it with prime. It's even more funny number. So it's bigger than the n, so it should work fast enough. It now takes only 4 seconds for test 5 and only 2 seconds for test 6, which is much more reasonable than what we see before. Okay, so that's some kind of Java specific issue. Then you should be careful what you're putting to standard hash table. Inlining is insignificant. That's true. It's not significant. Okay, let's test validation input again because we changed a lot in our test. Maybe we broke something, probably we shouldn't, but heaven knows. Oh, I was running this on validation input all the time, so that was not probably really worth re-downloading it, but never mind. Can I revalidate? Wrong answer. So I broke something. That's funny. But how? Oh, okay. I need to add this twice to do like that. Now I have min and max. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Sorry. I don't got it. So the output. Oh, I just printed some garbage. That's okay. Okay, that's not perfect setup because it's print the standard error to the same file. It should be fixed somehow. But thanks to validation input that we catch it. I don't need to re-download it. The same. So let's resubmit it. And let's try. I hope it won't be too big because I may need all my 6 minutes. Well, based on the time password protected file is downloading, probably will need to run it to use it. No, it's fast. Okay, I don't know what's happened. So let's do it as we done before. Hope it's not generated every time. Let's run it. Well, that's not really fast, but seems to be reasonably fast. 17 tests, 20 tests, 30 tests. We can select the source code for now. It's not really comfortable too. I need to copy it. I definitely need some comfortable way of doing all of this stuff, but too lazy to preempt it. So many zeros. It's scary. I don't like a lot of zeros. So let's first submit and then check what's going on with a lot of zeros. Why there are a lot of zeros? So did they receive the submission? So what's the input for last test? Just looks like kinda random one. No idea what's wrong with it. But okay, only vertex 1 is connected to a lot. This looks quite strange. So let's check it. It's possible. Has some edges. It's a bit scary. Not really happy with this answer, but probably it should work. So what is no official submission? What's wrong with you? You're again not able to submit. Oh, okay, here is submission. Just say it is not working now. I don't want to download this. I want to download source code to check that I really submitted the correct source code. Yeah, that's that one. Well, okay, probably that's all. I hope they'll handle my submission on B, as they said they should be handled. That's kinda stupid. I don't understand why some submissions are succeeded and some are not, but doesn't really care. Okay, that's all. I don't understand who would watch it, but if you did, thanks to you. Please put any comments of what was interesting, what was not so interesting. And I hope I will be able to do this more regularly. Thank you.